Welcome to Livewire Review. My name's Jeremy, and today we're going to be test driving the 2023 Tesla Model Y. It is the performance version today. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on this vehicle as it was just a quick road test, but we'll be getting this vehicle in the future so we can do a more in-depth review. Well, let's get into it. Okay, I'm here in a 2023 Tesla Model Y Performance. Now, it wasn't important to get the performance for this review, but I really did want to get my hands on a Model Y. Not because I'm unfamiliar with it. I do have a Tesla Model 3 long range. It's just the Model Y has everything you're looking for in a car. If you're looking for a mid-size crossover, this is the car to get. I know we cover a lot of other vehicles on this channel, but the Model Y is just something special. It's not because it's the best built. As we know, Tesla quality control is not the greatest. You don't get the best panel gaps, you don't get the best paint. You do have to put paint protection film on these cars if you want them to last a long time. But overall, you don't do a lot of repairs on Teslas. On my car alone, there's been only one glitch. There's been one light in the headlight that went out, and they changed it out under warranty. They drive to me in order to do the warranty repairs, which I think is pretty cool. Now, overall, there's a reason why I like this car so much. It's because it has that cavernous storage space in the back. You actually get the high seating position in these cars that everybody is looking for in a crossover. And when you go on a long road trip in this car, it is so easy. As you've seen from my road trip to PEI, we've gone to the East Coast a couple of times, and with the Tesla supercharging network, you are just so well covered across the board in these cars. Now, I'm going to talk range figures here for a minute because I know that this car is officially rated somewhere around the 531 kilometer range. We know that Tesla overstates their range figures. It's an 82 kilowatt hour battery in this vehicle, and you can pull about 75 out of it when you're on a road trip. The fast charging network from Tesla is so good that you really don't have to think about the range that much. And this is the vehicle they sell that's in a reasonable price point, I think around $72,000 Canadian, if I'm not mistaken, that can tow a trailer. So when it comes to a family vehicle, this does everything. It takes all your gear in the back. You can fit your car seats in the back seat. They even offer a 7-seat option for when you need that extra space for passengers. Now, you do sacrifice storage space for everything else when you get the 7-seat configuration, but it's super nice that they have that option available at a price point that people can afford. Now, because driving this vehicle is so cheap, the $72,000 price tag may sound steep, but it's something that you can buy and drive for so cheap. For example, we take our Model 3 down to Wonderland every once in a while, and it only costs us about $2 for the round trip in that car. It's so efficient. Speaking about efficiency, this one is not going to get the same efficiency as a Model 3 long range. That car, I've tested in real world numbers. On the road trip, it gets about 16.6 kilowatt hours per 100. This one's taller, it's not as aerodynamic, and it has a little bit more weight to push. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's around 4,400 pounds for this car, which would also make it one of the lightest crossovers in this segment. As you've seen on our channel, I did cover the Ford Mustang Mach-E, the Hyundai ioniq 5, and the Nissan Ariya. Those were 5,000 pounds, 4,800 pounds, and 4,600 pounds. The ioniq 5 was the lightest of them all. This one, sitting around 4,400 pounds, is the lightest, and that's because they just have better packaging. Some versions of this car have a battery that is actually a structural battery below the floor, but that's not important. The fact is, it's the lightest. I can't say it goes the farthest because this is another 400 kilometer SUV. Just like those other three vehicles that I test drove, I would say the realistic range of this vehicle hovers right around the 400 kilometer mark, which is perfectly fine. It means that your distance between supercharges is anywhere from 250 to 350 kilometers, and being, let's say, about 280 being that sweet spot between chargers. You can drive for about 3 hours between chargers. And the nice thing with the Tesla supercharger network is there is no thinking when it comes to it. You just enter your destination, it does all the work, and there's absolutely no worries driving anywhere across the country in this vehicle. And that is the number one reason why I recommend the Model Y so greatly, is because you don't have to think in this car. This is a car you can replace your gas engine vehicle with. It'll do everything you need it to do. It tows your trailer. It may not tow it as far as your gas car can, but with that supercharger network, there's absolutely no worries. So other reasons why I like this car so much, these seats are so comfortable. You can sit in them for hours and hours on end. In fact, we were in the car upwards of 20 hours on our way back from PEI, and there isn't a point where I had a pinched nerve or felt like I had to get out of the car and walk. It's because they're just comfortable. There's no crazy pressure points in them. The screen is super easy to get used to. The controls are super easy to get used to. It takes about a week when you own a Tesla to get used to it the first time, but after that it just feels so normal. And they have the normal turn signal stocks in this. They've updated the software so you can do your wiper controls here on the left control, and everything else is easy to find. The visibility out of this car is incredible. We have this nice sweeping line for the roof. I also like that they have this separation here. I did just drive the Model X, but I still prefer having this bar here. It just feels more normal. And unlike my Model 3, there's no bar in the middle. The sunroof across the back here, it doesn't open, but it is a fully expansive sunroof across the entire vehicle. Okay, so we're in the Model Y Performance today, and I'm coming up to the little S-bend here. Let's give it the beans. Oh my God, that has one of the most punches I've ever felt in any crossover I've driven. The Ariya, the mach, everything else doesn't compare. The mach GT Performance does come close. They have very similar 0 to 60 numbers. I believe this one's 0 to 60 in about 3.7 seconds, but just that immediate punch from this vehicle is incredible. And there is one difference between the way these two drive if I do compare it to the GT Performance. The GT Performance does drive like a Mustang. I know it sounds weird. The regular premium one, not so much, but the GT Performance, it gets squirrely. You can spin all four tires off the light, but this one has a different story. If I come here to a stop, I'm gonna take a launch right now, and I bet you the tires are not gonna spin. They are just gonna grab, and I'm gonna go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Yep, definitely 3.7 seconds 0 to 60, and it's repeatable anywhere. There wasn't a chirp, there wasn't a squeal. The suspension in this car is so well sorted out that it's almost undramatic. It's great. It's a coil sprung suspension. It does roll slightly as you go into the corners, but for a tall, fairly heavy vehicle, I am very impressed with how this thing handles, how it launches, and how at any speed you can just stab the throttle and have fun. Now, you don't need the performance version of the Model Y to enjoy it. The regular long-range version of this car goes 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, and you can purchase an acceleration boost package that brings it down to, I believe, around 4.4 seconds if it's not fast enough for you. The performance does have one advantage over the long range, and that is the track mode. So if you're the type of person that likes to have a little bit of fun in the snow, kick out the back end, you have to get the performance version to get the track mode. You don't get that in the long range models. Now, just like the Model 3, the visibility in here is excellent, but there is the nice change that I am perched up high. So in my Model 3, I am down low, and you sometimes can't get your feet into a comfortable position. You certainly can't lay them flat on the floor like you can in this car. This car is a lot more comfortable because you're perched up higher. And now that I've found a nice comfortable seating position in here, I really do prefer this. If I was to buy another car today, this would be the car that I would buy. I understand that I have to put some PPF on it because of the paint quality that comes out of Tesla's vehicles, but everything else about the vehicle is so good. I can overlook that. Like, with proper maintenance, maybe some rust proofing, this car will last a very, very long time. So another reason that I really recommend these cars is because, one, it's 4,400 pounds, so it is lighter. It's more efficient than the other vehicles on the market because of the drivetrain. The drivetrain is completely designed in-house, and they use something called a SYN-RM motor. Now, I can't go in behind the science in that because personally I don't understand it myself, but it has to do with how the magnetic field is affected in this vehicle. And it makes the drivetrain 10% more efficient than other vehicles on the market. So whereas the ioniq 5 is a great vehicle and has 400 kilometer range, this vehicle with the same output, around 75 kilowatts versus their 77.4 kilowatt usable, this car's still going to go further because it's 10% more efficient and about 200 pounds lighter. And there's only a couple of rattles in here, not very loud. I can drive this vehicle without the stereo on, without noticing anything. They do have double pane windows in them now, and the sound deadening in here is fairly good. You get a little bit more wind noise in here than you do in other cars. The biggest caveat I have with these vehicles is they use a frameless window. So the way a vehicle works is there are ports in the back of it that allow the pressure to escape. The one problem I found with the frameless windows in a Tesla is the fact that you can close them while the vehicle is stationary and they seal up quite nicely. But if you try to close your windows at 100 kilometers an hour down the highway, they don't seal perfectly. You have to do it a couple of times in order to get them sealed. That's basically my only complaint about the car. I have been able to live with the frameless windows through 3 winters so far, and it hasn't been an issue. And that's the only issue I've ever had, is you don't get a perfect seal if you close the windows while you're driving. Now, another reason why I recommend this car so heavily is because of that heat pump technology. We've talked about it before on this channel. This is an A-class heat pump. And when I say A-class, I mean that it draws from the cooling system around the inverters, around the motors, around the battery, and all the power electronics. In this one, it even pulls heat from the autopilot computer in here. And so with that heat pump, it means that if you precondition your car before you go out, you can expect to see probably around a 300 plus kilometer range, even at about minus 20 here in Canada. It's pretty incredible what you can do when you draw heat from everything. I'd like to say a big thanks to Tesla and Innisfil for letting me drive this vehicle. We're at Odas Park today. This is the Ariya Electric Vehicle Show. Plug and Drive is here as well. You have another opportunity to check out this show. They've been doing it for 5 years now, and when you go there, they're going to let you try out all the different cars, which was a nice experience for me. Today I've driven the Model X, I've driven the Mitsubishi Outlander. You have the opportunity to drive a Model S, and even the XC40 I was able to drive today as well. So I'm going to accelerate into a corner, and once again, there's just no drama. There's lots of grip. This suspension is so well sorted out. The only issue you have with the suspension is the upper control arms may need early replacement. It's a very known common problem in Teslas, but overall the reliability is pretty good. I've only ever heard of, say, my headlight that's gone bad, the upper control arms, and a couple of issues here and there when it comes to trim. And if you don't take care of your paint, you may have a couple of paint issues. They're really easy to overlook though because of the overall quality of the rest of the vehicle. It's such a good car, it does everything. And I must say, this suspension is so well sorted out over the earlier models of this vehicle, because a lot of people had complaints about how this rode, and I can honestly say I don't feel that today driving this vehicle. This suspension was very well sorted. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, like and subscribe. Let us know, what do you want to see in the future? And when we get the Model Y for a full in-depth road test, I'd like to know, what are your questions? Leave a comment down below, and thanks for watching.